Okay, so next up we have Best Comedy of 2009. Now, so for me, obviously, a comedy needs to make me laugh. It makes me need to have a good time. I want to have fun while I'm watching the series. That's what comedy needs to do to give it the win. And for me, I had to pick K-On! Just because the whole premise of the show is all about fun. It's this group of four, and then eventually five girls who just, sit around, eat cake, try to make a band, and are having a blast. And because of the way it's done, you have a blast too while you're watching all the sort of antics that they, are doing on the screen. So for me, it was almost a no-brainer. I had to give K-On! The win just because I had such a great time while watching the series.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for those funny series, the ones where you can get into the characters and just have a really good time with them for the comedy series, and I think K-On! Really brings that to the table. However, it's not my pick for Comedy of 2009. I know, shocker here. I actually picked the series Skip Beat. Now, Skip Beat, we both don't deny, is an amazing series for the most part at the beginning. It's so fun to watch. There's so much excitement. It's just the annoyance of the ending where it clips sort of off. There's so much story left to go. However, if I remove that from my mind, it really beat out K-On! In the sense of I was just so in tune with the character, her journey to superstardom, extremely unconventional journey, and whatnot, and just I really felt attached to her. And whereas K-On! Was fun to watch, Skip Beat, I was just laughing so hard and just so into the whole story, almost all the way through, that it really does bring it just a notch above K-On! For me. However, it seems that the viewers have a little bit of a different opinion.
Yes, it seems the viewers agreed with me, because they too picked K-On! As their best comedy of 2009. And as you just said, we can sort of see why they picked it, just because it's such a fun series. You're having a blast while watching the series, and comedy really is all about fun.
Now, do you know what I think the viewers have to do?
Now, what is this?
I think the viewers have to watch Skip Beat. That's the problem here. That's where this all went down the hill. So, go watch Skip Beat, and then we can find out who really should have won there.
Okay.
All right, and so the next genre we're going to go into is romance. So, romance for me, it has to have, obviously, a really good romantic relationship going. And I think that anime has a problem in portraying the same type of generic romance that it almost does in every single series. And when I was watching this series, I felt at the very beginning that it was really following this generic thing. However, the series that won for me, Toradora, really picks up as it goes along. And even though I dropped it in its first two episodes, the second I picked it back up after hearing so many good things about it, I watched a little bit farther, and from then on, it just became so much better than it originally set out to be. I mean, there's just so many amazing climaxes, tear-jerking moments that you can't help but feel such a deep connection to the characters, what they're feeling, their relationship troubles, and their just overall demeanor is so good in this series that you just really get into their whole complicated lives.
The romance genre for me is kind of blurred in a sense, in that it doesn't differ all that far from drama. Like in my romance, I want to have those moments that tug at my heartstrings and really make me involved in the storyline. Just the only difference is that the main focus of the story has to be on a romance. Like the main plot is about this building, of lust or whatever between the two main characters or two side characters, or however many characters have romances in the actual series. So for me, obviously, much like with Liesel, is that Toradora is definitely the best pick, because not only do you have this sort of slow building but very strong connection between the two main characters, you have these sort of side romances between the side characters as well, and relationships get broken, people get heartbroken, and you see this sort of aftermath unfold of all the characters. And by the end, I'll say though the ending was kind of sketchy, we found, and that it was kind of a little bit lackluster as to the series as a whole, but still you get that nice sort of romantic conclusion that you want. The main characters finally come together and are happy, and they've crossed the mountain sort of thing, and now they can finally be together. And that is what Toradora definitely does for you.
Yeah, and actually the viewer's choice here was quite surprising, I would say. Partly because the forums overall seem to have a general impression of loving the hell out of Clan Night After Story. That was the general impression we got throughout the whole thing. And it's a basically shoo-in, if they love it, to be the romance series, the pick for romance series. However, they agreed with us, and they actually picked Toradora. Mm-hmm. So this is curious. So, I mean, if you're into the really romantic stuff, maybe Toradora is the pick for the whole season. I mean, because it seems like even though Clannad was so popular, that Toradora managed to win out, at least in this romance department. So, I mean, I found that actually extremely intriguing overall for Toradora's side. So, it was pretty cool.
Now we've come to the last of our genre awards, I'll say, and that is the award for Best Fantasy Supernatural of 2009. Now, upon hearing this sort of category for this award, you might say, well, wait a minute, Leon. Aren't those, two separate categories, fantasy and supernatural? But for us, we kind of see them sort of in the same light. I mean, from a fantasy and supernatural series, I'm kind of looking for the same thing. I'm looking to whisk me away, introduce me to some sort of otherworldly entity like in Bocareno, or take me to some faraway place like in Escaflowne. So in that regard, the pick that I gave for Best Fantasy Supernatural Series 2009 was Kara no Kyokai. While it sort of didn't really whisk me away to all that different of a world, it's set in a very modernized world. It is a world filled with magic. You have the main character Shiki has this sort of ability to cut lines, see the lines of death and whatnot, and she's fighting all these supernatural entities that are trying to prevent her from completing her goal and whatnot. And I was just really sort of sucked into this sort of modernized magic world that they created in this string of movies, and I just loved every moment of it. So I thought definitely this is going to be my pick for this category.
Yeah, for me, the fantasy and supernatural category, it has to bring you to a different place. It's all about the escapist, the learning about a new world. And in shows like Full Metal Alchemist, you feel this world being built around you and all these ideas and concepts. And in anime, one of the popular things to do is people with powers, like they have some sort of ability, power, whether it be through magic or some other means. And the series that has those concepts in it that really did it for me for 2009 was easily Kara no Kyokai. I mean, that just had it all. It had amazing drama, psychological feel, romance, all sorts of layers to it on top of this amazing supernatural background, this sort of backdrop where you get to feel for these characters with interesting powers. And that's what made me love it throughout its entire run. And I mean, it's just so high quality for what it is. So I mean, it easily makes the best supernatural of 2009.
Coming to the viewers' pick now, it seems they're also in the same sort of boat with us. They also chose Kara no Kyokai as their pick for Best Fantasy Supernatural of 2009. And we more or less wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, it really does outshine pretty much any other supernatural or fantasy series. So we finished all of our genre picks, and now we're going to get into the opening and ending songs and what we thought of them, as well as a bunch of other technical and character role things. So for these ones, we're allowed to repeat series that we used to do because these are for different select things within those series, not genre wholes. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to start with what we thought was the best opening song of 2009.
All right. So for best opening, I need a song that's that's very similar to the mood of the series, and also I need to love the song. It needs to be a song that I want to be able to play again and again and again after the series is done with. And for opening, there was one particular song that definitely sort of just got stuck in my head almost from the first time I saw it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with all points of what I'm looking for in an opening song. Repeatability outside of the series, so you can listen to it and just like it outside, but also really has to fit the atmosphere of the series itself. You listen to it and you're like, man, this is this series. I know it, I got it, I love this opening, it really brings me into it. And there's one song that stuck out in my head the whole series. It just felt like it was so right for the series, and it was so interesting of a song on its own. And that song is... Katayoku no Tori from Umineko no Naku Koro ni.
Yeah, almost everything about the song just made me fall in love with it, from the instruments to the vocals, just everything makes for a really solid opening. And it also seems that our viewers also think it's deserving of the best opening of 2009 because they also picked it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely a song you might want to check out, and you might want to check out the series too.